Hey, friendo, Steve here. Welcome back to Ask WrestleJuice. You guys left a bunch of great questions. I know I usually do these live on Fridays, but I had a busy Friday, so it's going up on Saturday. And we're here to talk about Austin Theory because he lost his United States Championship to Rey Mysterio last night. Braden Loader says, what do you think Austin Theory needs to get himself out of the rut he's been in since WrestleMania? So this is interesting because Braden left this question like a day ago before we knew that Austin Theory was going to lose his title. Now, as pretty much everybody else thought, I figured he was going to beat Santos Escobar, not attack Santos Escobar, and that Rey Mysterio is going to step in and take that title. I didn't see that coming. That's pretty interesting because I figured what was going to happen is WWE was going to have him break Dean Ambrose, Jon Moxley's record for the United States Championship, because it seems like right now what they want to do is take everybody who's under contract and will probably be with the company for a while and have them break all the records for modern day, or even, I guess, in the case of Honky Tonk Man and the Intercontinental Championship, all-time records. And so I figured that they would have Austin Theory just be the same Austin Theory as he is now, kind of lacking totally in character, building his character off the same thing that he's been talking about since April, and that's beating John Cena at WrestleMania until he beat the record, and then he would drop the title and they would do something new with him. Well, it's a good thing for Austin Theory that they decided to scrap any idea of him breaking any records, and they just went ahead and got that title off him. I think this is great for him because he needs something. He is in more than just a rut. They have expended zero, and I mean zero, effort and creative energy in doing anything with Austin Theory. And I wonder if they were waiting. I'll put it this way. Maybe the original plan for Austin Theory was to have him break the record and then work on his character and actually like building one for him. But it seems like that's not going to be the case. I hope this means they're going to start a reclamation project of sorts for Austin Theory sooner than later. He desperately needs one. One of the most interesting improvements in WWE since Triple H took over is when it comes to character. If you take a look at, for example, Rhea Ripley, prior to Triple H taking over, and now she's two different people, but like the same person, if you kind of know what I mean. Before, it seemed like she was given no direction. It was like, okay, you're Rhea Ripley. You're kind of a goth badass, but some days you're going to be like teaming with Nikki Cross or Alexa Bliss, or who she teamed. I forget who she teamed up with. It was Nikki Cross when she was a superhero. Nikki ASH. So sometimes you're going to be like, the badass who's kind of nice. Some days you're going to be the badass who's just bad. And Triple H stepped in and said, no, you are a destroyer. You are brutality incarnate. Be that, and people will love you. And that's what's happened. She was given clear direction. And I feel like that's happening to a lot of people on the roster. They're simply given clear direction. With Finn Balor, it's be Prince Devitt, be New Japan you, which you've wanted to do here for a long time. Do that. And then they run with it. And when you know who your character is, stories can come from that. That's been the biggest improvement. Austin Theory has been left behind when it comes to that direction. Back when we were looking at his match against John Cena before WrestleMania, when that was on the horizon, over at Going in Raw, our thoughts were basically, he gets nothing from this if all they're going to do with him after WrestleMania is have him go around saying, I beat John Cena. That is not a character. That's an accomplishment. You can't say that you are a fully formed character if your only thing is, I beat John Cena at WrestleMania. Austin Theory has a ton to offer. You go back to his work in NXT with The Way. You go to pretty much any video of Austin Theory where he's not in character or he's not on main roster, and you can see that he's got a lot to work with. He is, as a human being, a fully formed individual with a lot to offer. And so I feel like even though they didn't do it before when he failed at his miserably at his cash, probably the worst cash-in of all time, when he failed to get the United States Championship off of a downed Finn Balor, I thought at the time that was going to be sort of a launching pad for him to as a character, to self-reflect and understand what he needs to do different. And like, I feel like they scratched the surface of that like Triple H did, but then they completely had no idea where to go from there. It's going to take more than just Austin Theory taking a leap or taking a risk or trying to, take his destiny in his own hands. WWE Creative needs to help him out. They need to give him some direction so that he can then go and work with it. And I know that sounds like kind of an abstract concept, but if you look at so many of the other characters in WWE from the time Triple H took over, you can sort of see what I'm getting at. So what is it going to take? WWE Creative putting some effort into him. I mean, we've seen it already with the Street Profits. They were just sort of boring and spinning their wheels. You put them with Bobby Lashley, you put them in some suits, and now they're this sort of, I don't know, another evolution of the idea of the Hurt Business. And to see what they're going to do with Bobby Lashley is going to be very interesting. And immediately last week when they beat up the Good Brothers and whoever the Good Brothers were fighting, you could sort of see, okay, these guys, you can see it in their face. They have purpose now. Them and Lashley, they're going to take over. They have purpose. And there's a lot of stories you can tell with those guys now. So it really doesn't even take a lot. It's just like, okay, who am I and what am I supposed to do? And then you can run with it. So there you go. Ed Woodthorpe Brown says, what was the more shocking moment in your opinion? Undertaker's streak coming to an end or Hell in a Cell 98? He says, I was there for Mania 30 and I can remember how surreal the atmosphere was in the stadium that night. I'm going to say the more shocking moment was, I don't know. I guess if dude, it was Hell in a for me personally, I think it's Hell in a Cell. Throwing a guy off the top of a cage and assuming he's going to land correctly. I know it's Foley doing it, but yeah, I was shocked because look, this is messed up, but whenever you think somebody might be dead, you're going to be really, really shocked as opposed to, oh, wow, this guy just won a predetermined fight. Cameron Shank says, what do you think of the idea of a wrestler being part of two teams or factions at the same time? What are some examples you'd like to see? I don't have no idea. That'd be weird. Like Jimmy Uso is part of the Bloodline and Bobby Lashley's new faction. That wouldn't make any sense. I don't like that idea, Cameron. It freaks me out. Marvell says, what are some of your favorite tag team names? He says, inspired by me recently meeting/training with Catch 22, which is TJP and Akira. Some of my favorite tag team names. The New Age Outlaws. What does that even mean? SE Wolverine says, if the Usos rivalry is meant to culminate at Mania, how would you stretch it to make it last until then? You do a trilogy. You do a match at Survivor Series. You do, maybe that will be like a tag team. Could you imagine if Kevin Owens is out? Can you imagine this? Kevin Owens is out, right? Because he's injured. Who knows how long that's going to take. I think Sami Zayn's that weird elbow thing. That's just a burst of sack. I think Sami will probably be fine soon. There hasn't been any reports of him being out for a long time. What if they do a tag team title match where Sami has to team with Jay for Survivor Series? That'd be a super over team. I kind of like that team better than Sami and Kevin Owens, to be honest with you. Sami and Jey Uso? Ooh, that'd be crazy. You do some multi-man thing at Survivor Series where Jimmy heads up a team, Jay heads up a team. I don't know. And then the next big one, the Royal Rumble. They have a match there. They have a proper match there. Or you put them both in the Rumble. Maybe Jay's like, I'm going to win the Rumble and I'm going to get another shot at the Tribal Chief. And Roman puts Jimmy in there to eliminate Jay specifically. And then you do a match at whatever show is in between that, Elimination Chamber. You either put them in the same chamber or you just have them get a match. And then at Mania, they have their big blow-off match in a cage or something. Hell in a Cell. Oh, shit. That'd be cool. That all sounds really good, Steve. Thanks. Sam J says, if Cody didn't get injured last year and leave after Hell in a Cell until Royal Rumble, what do you think his plans would have been in that time? And if he didn't get hurt, would he have had a better chance of dethroning Roman at Mania? No, I don't think the plan was ever for Cody to dethrone Roman at Mania, even if he had been healthy. Had he not been healthy, I don't know. I mean, he probably would have feuded with Judgment Day or something. Whatever he's going to do now, he probably would have done then. Claus Techno says, do you think Bray Wyatt will be well received by the WWE fans when he returns? Should he be a heel or babyface? I swear, man, I know a lot of people in the comments are going to be like, I don't really care about Bray anymore. Listen, people would fucking love it. They would flip if Bray Wyatt suddenly got really good creative from the beginning to the end of a feud, because he's never had that. They would love it. I think they're going to be down to see him, man. I think the general WWE crowd likes Bray. Damon Harden says, do you see valets or managers ever having a major resurgence? I hope so. I love valets and managers. I think they're cool as hell. Claus Techno also says, do you think that being in a tag team run with Adam Cole is doing any good for MJF as world champion? Yep, because it's going to sting when Adam Cole, Roderick Strong, and the Kingdom turn on help him win against MJF at All In. The Robserver, the best editor in YouTube, says, this is the best time ever to be a wrestling fan. I mean, you have unlimited access to all the wrestling content you could possibly have. If curated well, rather, I should say, you could have social media that exclusively gives you those wonderful deep dives into the lore of professional wrestling. And possibly, if curated well, you could excise the toxicity from it. I'm going to say yes, Rob. And we've got like the best in-ring product across all promotions right now that there's ever been. So yes, now is the best time. Although I'll be honest, Rob, there is this though. Back in the 90s when tape trading was a thing, I never engaged in the tape trade. But I would suggest that it was probably really cool to get that tape in the mail, plop it in your VCR, and watch some like stuff from Japan. It's like, oh my God, didn't know this could be so cool. Or you get like a tape of ECW if you're out here on the West Coast, it doesn't air, and you plop it, and it's like, oh my God, look at this guy, RVD and Sabu. Look at these guys. They're so cool. So I think there's something to be said about the old days, Rob, when you have the tape come in the mail and you pop it in. It's like nowadays you can just get on YouTube, I want to watch some old ECW, or you get on Peacock or whatever. You can watch old ECW right there. So, I think there was something about those old days, Rob, back when I was a teenager and in college, about like going out in the world and adventuring and not knowing, all you have is a map. I mean, we kind of had MapQuest back then. We had pagers too. Shannon Bailey says, when do you think Gunther should drop the IC title, and who gets the big rub? Who gets the rub from Gunther? Oh, I don't know. Maybe Chad Gable. And then Gunther should win the World Heavyweight Championship from Seth. I think that'd be awesome. Gregory Fiala says, if you could have any wrestler from WWE or AEW for a WrestleJuice exclusive interview, who would it be and why? Ooh, man, it'd be Cody. He's a big Star Trek fan. It would be Cody. 1,000% it'd be Cody. And we'd just talk about Star Trek. That's what we would do. Let's see here. Dank Meme Center says, what's your favorite version of Randy Orton? I like the Randy Orton who went around punting old people in the head. The Legend Killer. He was like American Psycho. That guy was crazy. Deep Voice Dude says, I read on Wrestling Observer that CM Punk hasn't reconciled even though the Elite re-signed their deals. Do you buy this? And if so, how dangerous and volatile this is? I don't think it's dangerous or volatile. They seem to have actually made it work. I am proven incorrect. I'm proven wrong on this one. I thought it was a disaster of an idea. And maybe coming out of All In and All Out, it will end up being a disaster. But at this point, it seems cool. Everybody seems fine. They take little shots at each other here and there. They're doing the Real World Championship thing with CM Punk, which I'll be honest, I kind of like. FTR and Young Bucks are getting along enough to have a match. That's cool. And I think Dax said something like he thinks that it's possible at some point they're going to do the Elite versus CM FTR. So, I think it's fine. I don't think it's dangerous. It wouldn't surprise me if they haven't talked. I mean, the rumor was there's like some legalities preventing the Elite from talking to him, but so who knows? It is written KJV says, why in the hell would WWE hire Nick Aldis and not use him as an in-ring talent? Apparently they just don't need a guy like him on camera. They'd rather get a guy like him behind the camera. They're like, we already have too many of you. We can't, you got the Big Jack, I'm not going to call him generic at all because I think Aldis is not generic. I think he's terrific. I really do. Yeah, he probably just, they're like, hey, you know, we've got a Drew McIntyre. We've got a Sheamus. We've got guys that sort of look like you. We don't really necessarily need like another one. We got a Cody, you know? So yeah, but he's got a ton of experience. He's a good wrestler. And if he wants to get that, you know, they're probably going to give him health care because he's going to be an employee. I think producers are employees. Brennan says, who do you see main eventing WrestleMania in 3 years' time? Assuming Roman Reigns isn't, in 3 years, in 2026. Oh man. I think that's too early for Carmelo unless he like does something and just skyrockets. So I'm going to say it's going to be somebody that I don't know. If it's not Roman, it's probably going to be Seth Rollins. Probably Cody's going to go like on a 5-year run of main eventing WrestleManias. That shit's going to happen. So it's going to be Cody. It's going to be Seth. It's going to be, I don't know, maybe Gunther. Maybe at that point they'll have figured out Austin Theory and he's going to get his ascent to the main event scene. Honestly, I think with Austin Theory, all it takes is like one story, one character moment, one thing. Whatever his Austin 316 is, whatever his Doctor of Thugonomics thing is, he's still really young. He's got a lot of time. Once he figures it out, it's to the moon with that guy. So yeah, I'll say Austin Theory, Cody, Seth Rollins, maybe Gunther. I think those are the names. Yeah, I think that works. Anyways, that's going to do it for Ask WrestleJuice. Thanks everybody for hanging out. Appreciate it. Hopefully I'll be back live on Friday. Till then, we'll see you around. Check out one of these videos here.